All right. So I'm just going to present my screen and just explain a few things for today's social studies lesson. Today is hat day, so make sure you wear your favorite hat. I don't know if you've watched the announcements today, but looks a little odd, Mr. Badford, with his Redbird hat, but I'm kind of jealous, not going to lie. Um, so with that being said, let me present my screen and go through what to expect for today. All right. So I kind of have been stopped doing the slideshows just because, one, it's redundant, it's a lot of work, and I don't think a whole lot of people use them. Two, I figured I could just use what I give you guys. Jeez Louise. What I give you guys every Sunday night an email. Each day I do update it with the current Read Aloud link. I also there are a few things that I don't have prepared yet, which is like the vocab test for Friday or the Read Aloud quiz discussion post for Friday. So those will be updated in here and in Classroom as they get posted. But I figured this is kind of like a nice format layout for you guys to look at. The green is like social studies work, and the blue is ELA literacy work. But today we'll do chapter 30. It is 10 pages, so I'll kind of keep this beginning part short. You are doing some sort of practice for your vocab. Yesterday, a lot of us struggled specifically with some of the words and kind of were mixing some of them up. So I highly suggest, based off of what I was seeing with that Pear Deck activity of matching the picture to the word, that you maybe take a look at that and see. Today I will be posting the grades in Classroom as to whether you got like a 4, 3, 2, or 1 for vocab, and then same thing for social studies, 4, 3, 2, or 1. So you can expect that to go into Google Classroom, but you'll practice vocab, play with them. I would maybe do some Quizlet first, and then there's a Kahoot game that I put into play. We will be playing both games today during my office hours. And then the last part is your activity for social studies, which is super easy. It gives you the directions all right here, and it does with the directions within Google Classroom. We are focusing on where we're going where. So we are going where. So you can tell there's going to be some next steps that are taking place with Gabriel and Alul's life. And it's actually pretty exciting because they're going to be leaving the Kakuma refugee camp in Kenya and are going to be placed in the United States, which is pretty nice. Based on yesterday's responses, I do want you guys to remember that Alul is a girl. She is the older sister, and Gabriel's the younger brother. So make sure you guys are reading carefully with that. So you're going to read this slide here. I tried blowing it up as big as possible. If you have issues reading it, put it in presentation mode. But super short, super sweet to the point. And so after you read that, I'm going to go to the last slide, slide 3, and you're going to choose 4 horizontal rows. Okay, and with those 4 horizontal rows, I want you to do your absolute best effort with describing the differences between the Kakuma camp and their new home placement, which is actually Minnesota. And truly have those like reflections between the two. So as you're doing that, if you need to play around with the slide, go ahead. This is a picture, and then each of these little boxes here are text boxes for you to type in. So I would choose like 4 different ones. Maybe I would choose climate. I could do insert a shape. Or a star and put a star there. I don't want to mark up you guys' original piece, but you could put a star placement by each of the 4 you choose. And if you need to get rid of the other text boxes as you type, then go ahead. Just play around with it, guys. know I'm probably going to get emails saying it's not fitting on here, it's not fitting on here. Play with it. If you need to say I don't want to do food, you can just select it and delete the text box and then go have your climate text go into the food area. As long as you maybe mark the 4 that you want with a star, that's what I would do. And actually, I'll probably, after read aloud, type that in the directions. Star the 4 that you're using. Okay? And I'll insert 4 stars in here as well. So at the end of read aloud, I'll see if you guys have any questions. But that's pretty much it for today. Now, I've had, let me see here. Let me stop recording. All right. So before we start, I've had a countdown going, or I haven't had a countdown going. Someone else has had a countdown going. Today is Aiden A's birthday. Happy birthday. So everyone unmute your mic quick and we're going to sing happy birthday. Unmute it, unmute it, unmute, or else you're going to hear my awful voice for the whole thing. So, Aiden A, I hope you have a beautiful quarantine birthday. The sun is shining and you're going to hear me sing to you, which is going to be weird. Okay. Ready, everyone? Happy birthday to you. Cha-cha. Happy birthday to you. Cha-cha. Happy birthday, Aiden Artist. Happy birthday to you. Beautifully done, guys, for those who joined. Aiden, I hope you have a beautiful birthday. I know you're excited about it. You've had a countdown going in your life journal for nonstop, making sure I don't forget. So don't think I did. But I hope you have a wonderful birthday. And everyone else, I hope you have a really great day too. The sun is shining. It's beautiful outside this morning. Wear your hat and let's go. Yes, it's hump day. It's Wednesday. So nothing wrong with today at all. It's going to be a beautiful day today. All right.
It's my dad's birthday, and he still has to go to work.
That's everybody's birthday. Aiden still has to go to school. All right. Tell your dad happy birthday. All right. We are going to get started so we don't have this recording be too long for everyone else. We're going to read chapter 30. So with chapter 30, remember, if you have your mic on now, mute it back, please, and thank you. Have a nice, clear, oh boy. Ouch, Sam. Thanks. All right. Little sassy pants. All right. So last time we left off with a flashback, which was less than a year from like current times in the book. And it pretty much led up to Nadia's father and all like the men in the family going off or deciding to go and join rebel forces. And I left off with the inference that the next flashback we might see is them deciding that it's not safe enough to stay and that they need to flee to Turkey. So that's my inference that I had made at the end. We are back to current and present times, which is October of 2013. It is the 11th. And we also talked about how from the beginning of the book, when they decided to flee that morning to now, it's been 3 days. 3 full, not full, but almost full days. So kind of keep that in mind, all the crazy chaos that she's had to endure during this time. All right. Nadia stared at her watch. Where could they be? So remember, they're waiting for Amamazin and Tarek to show up, and they haven't shown up yet. Or they left already without them, which I inferred. If you guys ever have an inference, drop it in the chat. But I kind of inferred that something happened to them, and that's why they're not there yet at the meeting point, because they got separated in the old city. And because they got separated, and because Amo's so old and weak and sick, I had inferred specifically that he is like worsening to the point of where he's going to about die at any second, like in this chapter, or he already did, and Tarek is trying to deal with it by himself. So there's kind of like that assumption that I think is going on, and that's why they're late. So let's find out. She thought for the 1,000th time, worry burning through her like acid. They had been waiting for over an hour, and the only thing that had crossed their path had been a stray dog and a few mice. Not that Basel had noticed. He had been fast asleep, because it's 9 p.m. Nadia stared across the street at a mural of a Free Syrian Army fighter, bleeding in the faint light from the window above. So remember, Free Syrian Army fighters are pretty much army men that used to be government controlled, and now they're fighting against the government. So they're ex-soldiers in a sense. Beneath it, the caption had read, "People, forgive us if we make mistakes. We are dying for you." Over it, someone had spray painted liar. So that shows you kind of the conflicts that are happening. The Free Syrian Army people feel bad for the fact that they were supporting the government and the wrongdoings that they had, so they're trying to make up for it and fight back against the government. But then there are peoples that don't agree. It may be another a rebel group of people that think that they're not truly helping, and thus spray painted liar. It could have been a mukabarat that spray painted over it liar, that kind of thing. So I'm kind of curious who would have spray painted it. Restless, she rose, rubbing away the ache in her leg. Remember, she's got those shrapnel pieces in there that she's had to deal with and manage this whole time. Anxious to check the gate again. This time, she decided to pass through the other side and made her way past a line of shuttering blacksmith shops. A cool breeze whistled by, carrying with a familiar fragrance. The earthy scent of laurel oil, coupled with olive oil and lye. Nadia shone a flashlight into a small abandoned workshop and found fragments of green bars scattered around on the ground. Nadia's favorite soap. Manufactured in Aleppo for over 1,000 years. As she circled back to the kiosk, Nadia had nearly missed the fluttering cloth tied to a pole beside the tower entrance, a red and white checked scarf. Her heart leapt into her throat. That's Tarek's kifia. So it's the headscarf, if I remember correctly what a kifia is. I think it's the headscarf that he had on. Untying it with shaking fingers, she felt a piece of paper knotted inside. And then there's a page break. So they were there the whole time and left? Oh my gosh, this is frustrating. Are you sure this is it? Asked Basel, examining the nails that studded the heavy wooden door that stood before them. I wonder what was on the note. It must have been directions on where to go find them. Because maybe it is Amo Mason that's truly weak and they can't make it to the meeting point. So maybe Tarek went there, tied a note for Nadia and Basel so that they could go backwards and find Amo Mason and Tarek. I don't know. That's my inference. Nadia double-checked the directions drawn on the page and nodded. With the butt of his gun, he rapped against the wood. Within a minute, the door opened a crack, then flew open, revealing a disheveled Tarek. Thank Allah you found us, he said. Remember, Allah's their God. What they call God. Voice was tight with emotion as Basel threw himself at him for a hug. He and Nadia grinned at each other like idiots. Another 10 minutes and I was going to go look for you. You left great instructions, said Nadia, handing him back his scarf. How did you find this place? Amo Mason knew the owner and said it would be safe, explained Tarek, locking the doors once they slipped through. Wow, said Basel, eyes wide as he saw what lay beyond. Wow, indeed, thought Nadia, staring at a lush garden illuminated by the moon, a beautiful tiled courtyard, its walls decorated with intricate geometric designs sat in the center. A marble fountain, edged with sweet basil and white roses, gurgled in the middle. Beyond it rose a two-story house that reminded her of the one in Judea, where they found the figs. But this was far grander. So they're describing like a courtyard, which is like a little garden sitting area that's outside, but technically still inside a building. So the building kind of wraps around this garden area. That's what a courtyard is. So that if you go to that courtyard area, you're surrounded by the building, but if you look up, you see the beautiful sky. You could get rained on, pooped on by a bird. You could grow plants, that kind of thing. So that's what a courtyard is. Jamila, cried Nadia, spotting the donkey happily chomping on the leaves. She ran over to encircle her neck with her arms. Where's Amo Mason? Is he okay? He's inside, said Tarek, pointing to the doors of the reception hall, standing opposite of the Iwan, the outside sitting area. Nadia hurried through the doors to find a cheery fire in the fireplace, its warmth spreading over a ball of orange fur, curled up against the old man, lying on a cushioned divan with his eyes closed. Worry ate at her as she examined his pale face. Amo? She whispered, kneeling down next to him. Are you okay? The old man's eyes fluttered open. Oh my goodness. He stared down at her with relief. I'm fine, my dear. How are you? Whatever took so long? For the next half hour, they exchanged stories of what had happened after they'd been separated. Mishmish, who had disappeared after snuggling with Nadia, returned, a dead mouse dangling from his mouth. Basel took one look at the plump mouse and said wistfully, I'm hungry. Do you think there's any food? Only he could look at a dead rodent and think of food, thought Nadia, exchanging a smile with Tarek. Leaving Amo Mason to rest, they used Nadia's flashlight to forge through the house, passing through a hallway into another sitting room, its ceiling inlaid with colored marble, its walls supporting built-in shelves crammed with statues and carvings. Through another hall, they finally stumbled into the kitchen. Nothing. There's nothing, grumbled Basal, poking his head into an empty cupboard as Tarek yanked open drawers that were crammed with utensils. Nadia peered beyond the stove, hoping to find a bouillon cube, a crusted tried bread, or even fallen grains of rice, but had sighed in disappointment. A rank, moldy smell spilled from the fridge, which was empty except for half a bottle of milk. Remember, it's rare to have electricity, so I wonder if that fridge was working. And if it wasn't, and milk is in it, half a bottle of milk, curdled and green. Ugh. Frustrated, she slammed it shut, thinking of the unlimited number of free cartons of dried milk she'd gotten from the dairy company after her advertisement had ran. She peered behind the fridge just in case. Nothing. It looks like they took it all with them, said Tarek, disappointed, as he grabbed a stack of candles he'd found in the back of the cupboard. Maybe I can find a pigeon or something, said Basel. In the morning, said Tarek, patting him on the shoulder. For now, we should just get some rest. We'll go look for blankets, said Nadia, as they each took a lit candle from Tarek. Why don't you keep an eye on Amo? Trying to ignore the ache that was gnawing on her insides, Nadia led Basel back into the front door, where a set of stairs led to the second floor. The final step opened out onto an airy sitting room. She headed towards the first door. A double bed sat against the wall, covered with a frilly pink duvet blanket, and a jumble of toys littered the floor. A desk sat below the shuttered window, piling with art supplies. Bissell hurried over to examine a pad of fine white paper, an expensive set of colored pencils. "This is so nice," he whispered. Nadia spotted a CD player and a small set of speakers sitting on the bookshelf. It was similar to the set Jad had often let her use. She flipped it on eagerly. "It works," she thought happily. "The batteries are charged." She'd have to find some CDs. She inched along a wide bookshelf, holding her candle. Books, she thought fondly of the hours that she spent reading to Bissell, appreciating Scheherazad's ability to take them on a journey through words. A familiar title had caught her eye. One her brother and cousins had fought over when they first got it. They tried to get her to read it too, but the idea of plodding through such a thick book about a boy wizard hadn't interested her much. What's the book about? What is the book? I'm going to read it again. They fought over it. It says it was a thick book about a boy wizard. Yep, I agree, Kira. I think it's Harry Potter. She pulled it out and flipped through the pages, a paragraph catching her eye. So let's see if we're right for those who've read Harry Potter. He had never seen so many things he liked to eat at one table. Roast beef, roast chicken, pork chops and lamb chops, sausage and bacon and steak and boiled potatoes, roast potatoes, fries, Yorkshire pudding, carrots, gravy, ketchup, and, for some strange reason, peppermint humbugs. So for those who've read Harry Potter, do we remember reading that part of him describing the table? Nadia stared at the words. Saliva started pooling in her mouth. Before she realized what she was doing, she crumpled the page, ready to stuff it into her mouth. She must be hungry. She stopped herself in time, smoothing the paper with a shaking hand. So she must have like some low blood sugar, especially if she hasn't been eating a whole lot in those 3 days. She hasn't had a whole lot, if you think about it. There's one time she had a stew, maybe a cooked pigeon, I think, and some figs for 3 days. So she's probably starving right now and extremely hungry, especially after they've had to walk this whole time. It's a lot of energy to be burning with not a lot of food in your system. "This is a warm one," said Bissell, lugging the duvet along with the art supplies. Nadia tucked the book under her arm, grabbed the CD player, and headed to the room across the hall. An unmade bed sat along a wall lined with posters of sports cars. Bissell tipped past clothes strewn across the floor to check out a huge stereo sitting next to a broken computer monitor. She instructed Bissell to grab some dry clothes for himself and Tarek and headed to the other room across the hall. The door swung open but stopped short, thudding against something solid. The flashlight revealed a fancy master bedroom, filled with ornate furniture and heavy silk drapes. Must be some nice house. About to step inside, she sniffed something. Something rotten. She knew from experience that it wasn't the stink of a dead body. And even though her instincts told her to leave it alone, she inched forward and peered behind the door. It was a canvas bag, left behind someone in a hurry. Curiosity had gotten the best of her, and she held her nose and yanked open the zipper. Inside lay a plastic bag, dripping with soggy tomatoes and cucumbers reduced to green slime. Beneath it sat another bag with maggots crawling all over a chunk of meat. She jerked away, kicked the canvas in disgust. But her foot hit the bag, she had heard a distinctive clang. So that means if there was a clang, that there was something metal in there, like a tin can. Maybe there was a tin can of soup or tuna or something. Let's cross our fingers because there's a page break. Nadia woke with a start. Oh, so they're not going to tell us. Mish Mish curled up beside her head, cold nose to her ear. She lay there wondering if it had all been a dream. But it wasn't, she thought. They had feasted on canned grape leaves stuffed with rice and pine nuts, sweet corn, corned beef, stewed okra, and sardines. So there were tin cans. I was right with my inference. And cookies, though they were a bit stale, and hot tea liberally sweetened with honey. As they sat in front of the fire in dry clothes, Nadia had taught the boys card games that she'd played with her cousins, and for the first time in months, they had been rolling on the floor, laughing. Where did they get these cards from? Did they find them in the house? Laughing at Basel's antics and Tarek's dry jokes. So like misreading her type jokes. Bad jokes. Even Amel Mason had perked up and given Basel advice on how to play his hand. But when Nadia helped fix a plate of food for the old man, she had been struck by how feeble he had become. His eyes dull, thin cheeks sunken. The exertion of the last few days had taken their toll. Deeply troubled, she handed him 2 pills from the bottle, and after swallowing them, he'd lain down. I thought they didn't have any pills left, unless they regained some from when they met the doctor that one time. Now, snuggling beneath the fluffy pink bedspread, she watched the embers from the fire, thinking that despite all that has happened so far, they were still alive. Insha'Allah, they'd be in Turkey soon, with her family. She slipped out from beneath the covers. Amo Mazen and Tarek still slept, but Basel sat hunched over the coffee table, his fingers flying across the crisp white paper, pencils in hand. Oh, he gets to be a kid again. He gets to color and draw. It's got to feel nice. Creeping up behind him, Nadia peered over his shoulder. I have a bad feeling I'm going to be heartbroken by what he's drawing. She was amazed by what she saw. A pigeon, its feathers glinting, took flight across one page. Beside it was an intricate silver astrolabe, like they'd seen in Professor Layla's secret hideout. But it was the picture he was currently drawing that caught her breath. In gray, black, and red, a little boy stood, huddled, next to an old woman, a basket of lemons in her hand. That's so sad. Wait, didn't he draw this picture too before with coal? A helicopter had flown above, spraying bullets over a collapsed apartment building. Bodies lay on the grass, blood seeping into the dirt. Her heart constricted. All this time, he hadn't said a word about what he had been through. But here it was in picture form. Alif Layla, she thought. I should read him a story to get his mind off things. She hurried out of the house and greeted Jamila with a gentle scratch under the chin before going to the cart. The air was crisp and clean, the sky a bright shade of blue. As she reached for the tarp, she noticed that the cart looked banged up, damaged from its wild ride through the souk, which was the old city's marketplace of shops. Amo Mazen's hidden compartment was wide open, the lock broken. I wonder if the story's going to be there. Probably not. Worried that his important possessions had tumbled out, she reached inside. Her fingers encountered cold metal. The gun. She nudged it aside, reaching further inside and encountered the velvet bag bulging with gold bars and banknotes. Remember, banknotes is like a form of money. Trapped behind it lay a plastic bag. Relief flowed over her and something else. Curiosity. Before she realized what she was doing, she tugged it forward. In her rush, the flimsy plastic caught on a bent nail, sending the contents flying to the ground. Over a dozen bandages and identification cards. Confused, she bent to pick them up. Why would he have so many ID cards, guys? Why? I don't know what to think of this. Is he just using it for safekeeping, or is he someone that he like stole them off of people or like killed them? They all had the pictures of Amo Mason in various ages, but the names, they're different, she thought. She picked up an old faded card. A smiling teenager stared back at her, familiar eyes sparkling with amber flecks. The name on the card was Ahmed Mason Makhlouf. So teenager name is different from the other two cards or names that he's given. Ahmed. That's what Suleiman had called him. Her eyes fell on the quad, his father or grandfather's village or neighborhood of origin. Kardaha. Ya Allah, she thought, eyes fixed in disbelief. It was the ancestral village of the Assad family, where Hafez and his eldest son were buried. But Amo Mason said that he was from Aleppo. So, piecing all this together, guys, teenage ID card. So a picture, it must be his true ID. If it's of his like younger years of a teenager, that has to be like his true ID, right? Like of when he was a teenager. So that must be his real name. That must be his real village. And so all the other things we've known about him is a lie, it sounds like. And I would be freaking out right now because she might be thinking, if on his teenage ID card it says that he was like from the village, the same village that their Syrian president is from, the awful president, some of us had made inferences before that how they think he's working for Assad, the president. It's making me nervous. Okay. I gotta wrap this up. This is a long one. Sorry, guys. Okay. I think this is the last page. It is. Okay. Where was I? Okay. It was the ancestral village of the Assad family where Hafez and his eldest son were buried. But Amo Mason said that he was from Aleppo. Her memory sorted through their conversations over the past few days. He said he was from a mountain village, but there were no mountains in Aleppo. She should have caught that on before. He had been lying. With shaking fingers, she lifted up an official-looking badge with the middle-aged Ahmed Mason Muklaf. Face stern, hair dark and wavy. Over a white-collared shirt, he wore a black leather jacket. His job, listed on the badge, was that of a commander of the Mukhabarat. Oh my God, you guys, that was the end of the chapter. Amo Mason is a Mukhabarat. She's been under awful forces this whole time. Remember, the Mukhabarat are the ones that do all the awful dirty work of people that go against the Assad regime. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm going to end this for those who are not listening.